Now, any of you who have watched my other videos or checked out my website and my recommendations know that I place a huge amount of emphasis on transparency, and that helps me evaluate the risk of these companies. And one of the key pieces of evidence I look for when evaluating a company is proof of how they earn their revenue. Now with MTI, I asked the CEO in my first interview with him to show us evidence of trading. Now there was already some evidence, but it wasn't enough for me. Now part of the reason there was a lack of early evidence there was because the trading bot doesn't belong to MTI. Now they do have exclusive use of that bot. No one else has it. So it's a unique agreement between MTI and a third party. Now the CEO explained to me in that interview that part of his license agreement with that company prevented him from showing us that final piece of evidence that I needed, but that his ultimate aim was for full transparency. Now at the time, I had been with MTI for just over a month, and I recognized the potential of this company. There was so much I liked about this company. I really liked the CEO, I liked his philosophy, and I liked the model that they had. But I was holding back. I couldn't present this to my audience as my top recommendation without knowing for sure that this bot existed. So I kept asking him, trying to find ways around the restrictions he was bound by. And finally, he got agreement from the traders who created the bot to show me the evidence I needed. But it was in private. So although I was restricted from revealing that evidence in public, I was satisfied with what I saw. And I kept to my word and I didn't reveal that publicly. But the important thing for me was I now knew that this was a legitimate company. And I was then able to confidently recommend MTI to you guys. Now that was back in December 2019. And I'm making this video 7 months later. And for all those of you who joined me in MTI, who trusted me that although you couldn't see the evidence yourself, you trusted that I had seen it and were able to join MTI and take a chance in good faith, thank you. Thank you to all of you who trusted me and have patiently waited for the evidence of the trading bot to be made public, which I'm able to do today. Now the CEO is still under restrictions, but he has been able to come up with a compromise whereby we can see the trading bot with some information redacted, i.e. blacked out, but all the important information is there for us to see that this is real. Now before I show you the trading bot, I think it would be useful to understand how MTI structure their accounts. Now MTI currently have 11,000 Bitcoin in their trading pool. Now they have 3 brokers, and all 3 brokers trade with the base currency of Bitcoin. And that's very important because that means there's never any conversion into fiat. So the whole operation is in Bitcoin. We deposit in Bitcoin, they trade in Bitcoin, and we withdraw in Bitcoin. Now most brokers offer a base currency of USD, GBP, Euros, etc. But very few of them offer a base currency of Bitcoin. So a lot of people find that strange. And when I first came across this in November 2019, I'd never used the base currency of Bitcoin. So I joined their primary broker and started trading with them using Bitcoin as a base currency just to try it out. So that simple fact of using Bitcoin in the whole investment cycle is very important. Now their primary broker has a limit of 1 trillion bits per account, i.e. parts of a Bitcoin. Now in the beginning that wasn't an issue, but MTI has grown exponentially, both in terms of members and in terms of the volume of Bitcoin they trade. 11,000 Bitcoin is a massive volume. So because of this limit with the broker, MTI have created multiple accounts with just under 1,000 Bitcoin in each. And I'm going to show you 10 of these accounts. Now their primary broker is trying to change their limit to be greater than 1 trillion bits, and that will allow MTI to show a single account live in their back office. And so live trading in the back office is coming. There's no fixed date on it, but it's coming. So let's have a look at this trading bot. Now here's a screenshot of the trading bot. So let's understand what we're looking at. Now you can see that there's these areas that have been blacked out, i.e. redacted. So let's go through each one. So at the top left hand corner, what's hidden behind that black box is the account number and the name of the broker. And then if we look down here in the navigator section, the name of the broker is here, also blacked out, and the account number within that broker is blacked out. Now, why is that information redacted? Well, MTI have over 90,000 members, and a lot of those members want to research MTI and make sure it's legitimate, and I completely understand that. But what's happened is the broker they use has been inundated, flooded with requests from MTI members or prospective MTI members asking for information about MTI. Now, this has created a massive drain, a massive support drain on that broker. And that broker have asked MTI, please stop having all these people coming to us and asking us questions about MTI. So MTI keep that information confidential. Now, a lot of people do know who the broker is, but MTI have asked us not to talk about it openly because it just generates more support calls into that broker. And the risk is that broker can get so peed off with the whole thing that they might not want to deal with MTI. But I can tell you that I have checked out that broker, and I know for a fact that it's a very reputable broker that's been around for many years, and that MTI does have an account with them. So anyway, that information is redacted just to reduce the support calls into that broker. Now, the account number is also redacted because hackers only need 3 bits of information in order to hack into this account. One of them is the account number, so good idea to keep that private. Now let's look at these columns down the bottom. And what we're looking at here is the trade tab. So each of these rows is an order, a trade. And in the first column here, we have the ticket number, the order number. Now, why have they redacted the order numbers? I'm not really sure. I don't really see the value of redacting that. But then we have the size column, and that's the lot size of each trade. Again, I'm not really sure why they want to hide that. And then we have the stop loss and the take profit column. Now, I guess what they're trying to do here with hiding those bits of information is to try not to let their competitors know the kind of strategy they're using. Now, if it was me, I wouldn't redact that because I think the value of redacting it is very small. But anyway, this is the compromise that Johan and the traders have come to. So I'm delighted that we can actually see this information publicly now. Okay, so that's the information that's redacted. But what about the information we can see? Now, this section at the top, the market watch, is irrelevant. We can ignore that. In the navigator section, what's nice to see in there is the expert advisors, the EAs. So they have 2 here. They've got MTI version 6.1 and version 6.2 beta. Now, the EAs, expert advisors, is also known as the AI or the trading bot. That's the software. That's the intelligence that's doing the trading. Now, if we look on the right, we've got all these tabs showing currency pairs. So the first one we see here is USD to Swiss francs. And the M5 refers to the time frame. So it's a 5-minute time frame. And the next tab is the same pair with the same time frame. But the difference there is one is probably using version 6.1 of the EA and the other might be using version 6.2. Now, the chart that's actually in focus at the moment is GBP USD on a 5-minute time frame. And if you look up there on the top right, you can see it says MTI version 6.1 and then there's a happy face, a smiling face. That means that that version of the bot is active on this currency pair. Right, so let's look down at the order section here. So what we're looking at here is all the open trades. Now, some of them will be in profit and some of them will be in a loss. But if you look at the time column, you can see that all of the trades in our current view were opened on the 3rd of July 2020. And that was the same day that I received this recording of these trades. So that's showing the date and time when the trade was executed, when it was started. And in the type column, it's either going to be a buy or a sell. And then in the symbol column, we can see the currency pair. And in the price column, that's the price the trade was executed at. And then in the price column on the right, that's the current price. And then the swap column is if a trade goes over 24 hours, it incurs a fee, like a penalty fee. So if you look down here, we got a swap fee of minus 4,429 bits against the trade that was opened on the 2nd of July. And then if you look at the profit column on the right, you can see the top half of those trades are in a negative and the bottom half are in profit. And then overall, with all the open trades, there's a negative of 4.3 Bitcoin. Now that might sound like a huge amount, but if you look over on the left here at the bottom, there is 984 Bitcoin in this account. So -4 on almost 1,000 Bitcoin is a very small amount. But all of these trades could end up being in profit, or they could all end up being in a loss. So that's a fluctuating figure. But the key thing about the timestamps here on the left, that tells us that most of these trades are very quick trades. The bot is trying to get in and get out, take a small piece of profit, and then rinse and repeat. Very few trades are being carried over. Now the other important thing up on the top right is the word master. So that's just letting us know that this account is the master account. So I'm now going to run a recording showing 10 accounts, and on the top right you're going to see it change from master to slave 1, slave 2, up to slave 9. And all of these accounts are pretty much identical. So if one is losing, they'll all be losing. If one's winning, they'll all be winning, because they're using the same trading bot but using multiple accounts because of the maximum amount of Bitcoin that the broker can handle on each account. Okay, so let's have a look. On the top right, you can see that this is the master account, and at the bottom of the screen, Johan is now scrolling down through the open orders, and once he gets to the bottom, you'll see on the left the amount of Bitcoin in this account. And now we got slave 1, the second account, slave 2, the third account, and if you look down the bottom left, you can see it's got 984 Bitcoin. Now we're looking at slave 3, the fourth account, also with 984 Bitcoin. And now slave 4, the fifth account. And this account also has 984 Bitcoin. And slave 5, the sixth account. It's got open trades of minus 4.64 Bitcoin. And slave 6, the seventh account. And those green bars indicate that the trade is about to hit the take profit price. And now we're looking at slave 7, the eighth account. And those red bars indicate that the trade is about to hit the stop loss. And here we have slave 8, the ninth account. And that's got a balance of 969 Bitcoin. And the last account on this server is slave 9. Now feel free to pause and rewind and go back and study any of those accounts in detail. But here's a quick summary of those accounts. So the balance in the first 8 accounts are pretty similar, and my guess is they all had the same Bitcoin starting level, and then the later ones, slave 8 and slave 9, started with a different balance. So across those 10 accounts we have almost 10,000 Bitcoin, and the 43 Bitcoin that are in a negative on open trades accounts for roughly 0.5%. Okay, so let me summarize what we've just seen. Well, obviously, we've finally seen the trading bot. Fantastic. But what did you see when you saw the trading bot? Well, you can see that the trades are constantly changing price. You can see the totals at the bottom of the screen constantly updating. And that shows us that this recording was of live trading. Very important. Now we can also see that the volumes being traded match what we see in the back office. Again, a very important indicator. And the volume of open trades tells us that they're trading at low risk. So if we saw that the open trades amounted to, say, 25–40% of the overall volume, then we'd have cause to be worried, because that is high risk. But the volume of open trades that we could clearly see tell us that they're only risking a small proportion of the overall volume. Again, consistent with what they've been telling us. And the frequency of trades corresponds to what we see in the trading reports. So in the trading reports, we see that there's 200 to 500 trades a day. And just from the snapshot that we saw, you could see how that substantiates the frequency of those trades that we see in those reports. Now, overall, all of those things is what I call evidence. Now, I know a lot of you have been waiting for this, and I'm delighted to be able to share it with you. I'm a great believer in MTI. And when you look at all the other crypto companies out there, and so many of them are scams run by thieves and criminals, and then I look at what we have with MTI, and I feel so grateful. We've got a solid, legit company run by a great CEO who is determined to make MTI into a legacy company that we can all benefit from for years to come. And I'm cheering him on, and I think he's got a great chance of doing that. All right, so that's the bot. Take care, guys.